Hello and welcome to Turning Point from Timely Coffees. My name's Seb, I'm one of the co-founders here, and this is a video series we use to talk about different things that are happening in the coffee industry and how we're going to approach them at Timely. So one thing that everyone has to consider when they start roasting coffee or they start brewing coffee at home is whether or not they're going to be using ground coffee, so pre-ground coffee that they buy already ground, or they're going to buy their coffee in whole bean form and then they're going to grind it themselves at home. So in coffee, and especially specialty coffee, which is kind of the industry term for coffees that are focused on origin and traceability, and they're meant to be more traceable and ethical and more delicious than kind of commodity grade coffees. These are coffees kind of with intention behind them, is essentially the categorization. So in the specialty coffee industry, there is this expectation that you should always grind your coffee as fresh as possible. So the idea is that as soon as you grind your coffee, you are going to be exposing those coffee grounds to oxygen, and then also to heat and to light. And there's going to be other factors that make that coffee grow stale or slightly old or lose flavor quite quickly. So the specialty industry says that as soon as your coffee is kind of 30 minutes old, then it's no good anymore. You should, throw it out, get some new coffee and regrind it if you haven't used it yet. But I guess from our perspective, what we ask ourselves is there ever a moment, is there ever a time when pre-ground coffee actually tastes better than fresh ground coffee? And for us, we think that there really is. So we understand that quality is not only about how good something tastes. Quality is also about how it makes you feel and how convenient it is for you. And all these things go into making the overall experience when you're interacting with anything. And coffee is no different. So if you are feeling intimidated by specialty coffee, or intimidated by coffee of a certain quality or of a certain price, or you're not really sure how to engage in a product like this because you don't know the right grinder to buy, or you can't afford the right grinder, or you just don't really want to go through the hassle of grinding your own coffee, there shouldn't be anything stopping you from really buying coffees that are really meaningful to you. So if you have coffee that you want to be proud of, and that's Timely, for example, you should be able to say, well, I really want to support coffee growers like Sara Gutierrez, but I don't want to grind my own coffee. And that should be totally okay. There should be no stigma around that. You shouldn't feel judged about this. Using pre-ground coffee is completely okay. And quite often, if that's what suits you and your lifestyle and your expectations and what you want to get out of coffee, it's actually going to make your coffee taste way better, because you're going to be able to do that without having any anxiety about whether or not this is the right grind size, or whether or not this is fresh enough. Or if you just focus on what's truly important to you as a coffee drinker and as a consumer, then you can start to really have better interactions and better experiences with coffee. So as a part of this, we want to make sure that everyone can get the exact grind size they want. So all of our coffee is now available ground specifically to your brew method. So when you go onto the online store, you'll be able to select the coffee that you want, and you'll be able to say you're going to brew it espresso machine or plunger. Reusable pods are on there, AeroPress, cone filters. There's a whole bunch of different brew devices that are on there, and you can actually select what you're going to be using to brew your coffee, and we'll set it to a specific grind size just to match that. If you get coffee that's ground to a certain grind size and it works for you, then you should keep doing that. If it doesn't, please send us an email, ask us what you can do, what we can do. We also have the Mini-brew guides online as well, which go really well with ground coffee, and they've got a couple of tips in there about how to get the most out of what you're drinking. So make sure that if you can't or don't want to grind your coffee for any reason, then you feel okay about that, because it's all about making sure that you have a product that you're really going to enjoy, you're really proud of, and you're going to be able to interact with in the best way possible. So that's all I've got. That's a bit about Timely, and see you next week. Thanks very much.